Resource person is Professor Arao from the University of the Philippines. Sir?
Magandang umaga po. The University of the Philippines College of Mass Communication has already issued a statement last January 28 on the need for an authentic Freedom of Information Act. Now, upon close scrutiny of the 8 pending bills related to the FOI, there is a need to repeat UPCMC's 3 recommendations. Number 1, in the context of transparency, there should be a clear sunshine clause in the proposed FOI law to declassify information found to have historical value after 15 years. 15 years is suggested as this is the prescriptive period for the filing of cases against graft and corruption under Republic Act number 3109. Number 2, in the context of accountability, there should be no provision implying that the FOI will be prospective in nature. Fortunately, not any of the bills reflect that prospective nature, because any attempt to prevent the FOI from being retroactive would make classified but important information under previous administrations practically inaccessible. And this is what happened in our experience in the previous Congresses. Number 3, there should be an explicit provision allowing the expeditious granting of information to journalists and researchers. In the Senate and House of Representatives versions of the proposed FOI law, the maximum waiting period of 15 working days could compromise a media practitioner's data gathering. Now, according to our college, these recommendations would help promote knowledge exchange, improve media practice, and ensure the smooth flow of information to the people to whom access to government-held information is vital so they can hold their officials to account and for the sake of democratic participation in governance and the making of state policy. While SBN 64, as well as other pending Senate bills submitted to this committee, state that an executive order establishing guidelines for the information to be kept secret shall, quote-unquote, specify the reasonable period after which the information shall be automatically declassified or subject to mandatory declassification review under Section 7A. An authentic FOI should have something more explicit in terms of time frame in particular and wording in general. In the House of Representatives, it is interesting to note that there is a bill, House Bill number 347, that was filed, and it provides for a clear sunshine clause under Section 5K or mandatory compliance. May I just quote from it? All classified information contained in all government agency records that are more than 25 years old and have been determined to have historical value shall be automatically declassified whether or not the records have been reviewed. Subsequently, all classified information in such records shall be automatically declassified no longer than 25 years from the date of its original classification. It is hoped that the Senate Committee on Public Information and Mass Media could also include this provision in the consolidated version, keeping in mind the UPCMC's recommendation that the period of declassification be pegged at 15 years instead of 25 years. Now, as regards the expeditious granting of information to journalists and researchers, it is highly recommended that Section 8 or requests for access to information of HBN 347 be incorporated into the Senate's consolidated version of the FOI. And may I just quote that very brief provision of Section 8. All government agencies shall expeditiously grant information requests from journalists. In the context of journalism, there is clearly a need to analyze the implications of a government's compliance as regards information requests within a specified number of days, ranging from 7 days to 15 days. Since deadlines are an everyday reality for print, broadcast, and online journalists, government compliance with or denial of information requests within a 7 to 15-day time frame is both unrealistic and unacceptable. Even if journalists can be passionately persistent and remarkably creative in information gathering, government agencies should ensure expeditious granting of their requests. In order to discourage a journalist from circumventing the law in his or her quest to get the elusive information, the government should be transparent in providing necessary information and efficient in acting on such requests. In pushing for this provision, it must be stressed that special treatment is not being requested for journalists. We're not Janet Napoles after all. expeditious granting or denial of requests from journalists should be seen in the context of government's commitment to provide an atmosphere conducive to the exercise of press freedom. The government's cooperation with media organizations would surely help fulfill the latter's sworn duty to provide relevant and up-to-date information to the people. Going back to the issue of declassification of certain confidential documents after a certain number of years, it is interesting to note that then U.S. President Bill Clinton signed Executive Order 12958 in April 1995, which authorized the release of previously classified national security documents more than 25 years old and deemed to have permanent historical value. As a result of the inclusion of certain previously classified national security documents under the U.S. Freedom of Information Act, the people were better informed of what the U.S. government has done through the years. The Baltimore Sun, for example, requested and got hold of 2 previously classified CIA manuals. The latter gave details on torture methods used against suspected subversives in Latin America in the 1980s, effectively refuting past denials of the CIA. By requesting the classified information, details like this were published in January 1997 in the Baltimore Sun. Torture methods taught in the 1983 manual include stripping suspects naked and keeping them blindfolded. Interrogation room should be windowless, dark, and soundproof with no toilet. So that's in the CIA manual for torture, which was put out into the open. Now, if the Sunshine Clause is included in the proposed FOI in the Philippines, the media and the public can greatly benefit from the full disclosure of certain confidential documents that have historical and social value, particularly those that are related to burning issues of the day, all of which clearly have historical contexts. The classified national security documents could provide more details, for example, of what life was during martial law from 1972 to 1986. And perhaps we can get to the truth of what happened on August 21, 1983, when a certain senator was assassinated at the airport. We could know that through a Sunshine Clause. Now, through these revisions to the proposed FOI, the government may uphold freedom of the press and implement what is stated in Article 3, Section 28 of the Constitution, which is full public disclosure of all transactions involving public interest. That's all, Madam Senator. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation.